All right, let's crack open a story that is just completely over the top. We're talking about a wild, dark fairy tale straight from the heart of the Jazz Age, F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Diamond as Big as the Ritz. It's a story that takes the idea of being rich and pushes it into a full-blown, terrifying nightmare.
Okay, so let's start with this. Just think about it for a second. Forget about billionaires or trillionaires. What if one single family was so wealthy that their fortune couldn't even be measured? What would they do with all that money? And maybe more importantly, what would they do to keep it? That's the absolutely bonkers idea Fitzgerald kicks things off with.
And yeah, he doesn't waste any time getting to the point. This line, this just audacious claim, is what gets the whole story rolling. It's said by this quiet kid at a boarding school, Percy Washington, to his new friend. And the truly insane part? He is not kidding. Not even a little bit.
So our main character is this kid, John T. Unger. He's a pretty normal guy from a town named Hades, and yes, you heard that right, Hades. So he gets this invitation to go spend the summer at Percy's family home. Little does he know, he's about to walk into a hidden kingdom in the middle of the Montana Rockies, a place that is literally built on an impossible fortune.
As John gets there, this is the first thing he sees. I mean, it's not a mansion, it's a chateau, and it's so enormous it looks like it's part of the mountain itself. Fitzgerald uses this incredible phrase to describe it, translucent feminine languor. Right off the bat, we are not in the real world anymore.
And once he's inside, things just get more and more surreal. The floors, they're made of thick crystal. And underneath your feet, you can see this living aquarium with fish just swimming around. It's a perfect example of Fitzgerald making this luxury feel both magical and, honestly, kind of creepy. You're literally walking on water, totally defying nature.
The extravagance is everywhere, in every little detail. At dinner, they're serving food on plates made of solid diamond, with emeralds just casually worked into the design. This isn't just being rich. This is wealth so extreme that some of the most precious materials on the entire planet are being used like, disposable party plates.
And the tour of this unbelievable paradise just keeps on going. The next morning, John gets into this sunken bathtub that is itself an aquarium. Fish are just gliding right past his feet, with only a thin layer of crystal between them. Every single moment is designed to just completely overwhelm you with this decadent, personalized luxury.
And then, the secret is finally revealed. The reason for all this infinite wealth. Percy just casually explains that the entire mountain their house is built on is one single, flawless diamond. A treasure so huge, there's not enough money in the entire world to even begin to buy it.
So, a private mountain made entirely of diamond. It sounds incredible, right? But here's the thing. A secret that valuable, it's always going to come with a terrible, terrible price. And this is where the story shifts from a beautiful dream into an absolute nightmare.
Which leads us to the most obvious question in the world, right? In an age of maps and airplanes and surveys, how in the world could a solid cubic mile of diamond stay hidden? Well, the answer reveals the true horror at the center of the Washington family's paradise.
The methods the Washingtons use to protect their secret are just cold and systematic and incredibly brutal. They've bribed officials to change maps and use technology to throw off compasses. But it goes so much further than that. Any plane that gets too close, it's shot down, and the pilots are thrown into a prison pit for the rest of their lives. And the most chilling part? Their kids' friends, the ones they invite for the summer, they're murdered before they can go home. This isn't secrecy, it's a campaign of terror.
So how do they possibly justify all this murder and kidnapping? Well, it's summed up in this one cold, calculating line from the family patriarch, Braddock Washington. For him, morality is a luxury. It's something people who have something huge to lose just can't afford. It's a terrifying but maybe logical conclusion for just pure unchecked greed.
So we have this glittering, horrifying story. But it's not just some fantasy. What Fitzgerald was really doing was writing a sharp critique of his own time, a powerful warning about the dark side of wealth and morality in Jazz Age America. You have to remember, this story came out in 1922, right in the middle of the Roaring '20s. One writer at the time called Fitzgerald the recognized spokesman of the younger generation, the dancing, flirting, frivoling, lightly philosophizing young America. He saw all the glittering wealth, for sure.
but he also saw the moral rot hiding right underneath the surface.
At its heart, this story is really a dark, satirical takedown of the American dream. The dream we're all told promises that you can get ahead with hard work. But the Washington reality? It's a closed loop. It's hereditary power that's protected by violence. Their incredible home isn't a symbol of freedom. It's a gilded prison built on a foundation of paranoia.
And you know, this totally unbelievable story, it actually has roots in a real place. When he was a teenager, Fitzgerald spent a summer out in Montana, a place they called the Land of Shining Mountains. You can totally see how he took the incredible, rugged beauty of the American West and smashed it together with his deep skepticism about what extreme wealth does to people.
Okay, so why should a story that was written 100 years ago matter to us today, especially to high schoolers who might be reading it for the very first time? Well, because underneath all the fantasy, Fitzgerald hides some really powerful, timeless lessons about life. So let's jump into the first big takeaway. This one's a powerful lesson about what wealth really is. And honestly, it's a warning that might be even more true today than it was back then.
The Washingtons have everything, and yet they have nothing. Their fortune doesn't buy them freedom. It traps them. They can't ever interact with the real world. They can't trust a single soul. Their paradise is actually the world's most luxurious prison, which is a powerful reminder that human connection is worth way more than any diamond.
All right, the second lesson is a little more personal. It's really about that painful process of growing up, a journey that our protagonist, John Unger, is forced to go on in the most extreme way you can imagine. At the end of the story, John thinks about what he has left, and he says there are only two things that are real: diamonds and perhaps the shabby gift of disillusion. This isn't just about John. It's about that whole post-World War I lost generation. It's that painful moment when you wake up to the world's darkness, a necessary part of growing up and realizing the world isn't the perfect fairy tale you thought it was.
And that idea of disillusionment brings us to our final and maybe the most profound takeaway from the whole story. It's a thought from Fitzgerald about what it even means to be young. This is one of Fitzgerald's most famous lines, and for good reason. It suggests that our youth is this intense, beautiful, and kind of insane dream. John's adventure was a literal fantasy, sure, but the line implies that all of our youthful experiences, our first loves, our big dreams, they all have that same dreamlike, feverish feeling before that shabby gift of disillusion kicks in. And all of that leaves us with one last question to chew on. The Washington's Diamond Mountain might be a fantasy, but the story makes us look around at our own world. What modern forms of unimaginable wealth or power exist today? What dark secrets and moral compromises are being made to protect them? It's a chilling question that keeps this jazz-age nightmare feeling disturbingly relevant.